turned to the screaming girl and stabbed her 10 times. Hartnell actually survived. The killer then went up to the couple's car and scrawled in pen some information about the other murders. Hartnell unfortunately wasn't able to give police much information about the man that almost took his life. The last confirmation, and perhaps the closest the Zodiac came to being caught, was when he shot 28-year-old Paul Stein in the back of his head from his taxicab in San Francisco. He only just got away as police approached the scene, but for some reason the cops were looking for a black suspect. The cops thought it was a robbery until shortly after the San Francisco Chronicle received a letter signed from the Zodiac. The letter stated, "I am the murderer of the taxi driver." And just to be sure the police believed him, also inside the letter was a piece of the bloodstained shirt that Stein had been wearing on the night. People did see a man near the cab that night though, and now police thought they had some idea concerning what he looked like. The Zodiac said that was a bad version of him, stating in a letter that the night of the murder he was wearing a disguise. There were many more suspected murders, but we can't go through them all. Let's talk about these letters instead, most of which were written with terrible handwriting. The first letter sent in 1966 was titled The Confession. He gets straight to the point, starting with the lines, "She was young and beautiful, but now she is battered and dead. She is not the first and she will not be the last." Still, it's thought this could have been any delusional person, perhaps not the actual Zodiac killer. Many more letters are suspected to have come from the Zodiac, but others have been confirmed. On July 31st, it's thought the Zodiac sent a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco Examiner, and Vallejo Times. Each newspaper had been sent one part of something called a cipher. This may also be called a cryptogram and is a coded way of sending a message.
Select your hero.
Hello? Hi.
Together we are strong.
Can we do like the 3 support freaking OP thing right now?
I can't really support, so yeah.
I'm more talking to Sour because Junkrat works better for that.
If you want to Ryan, I can.
Oh,
wait.
I'm supporting right now.
Oh, I can run, yeah, for sure.
Oh. Sweet. Let's do it, do it, do it, do it. It's so good. Let's get Zen. Actually, Zen and Mercy would probably be the best, but it's fine.
We need bands.
Hey, Brock, can you play, or Brooke? Wait, no, Brooke. I don't know. Okay.
Hey,
It's fine.
Brock. No,
I don't know which one it is. I'm not good at those type names. Oh, it's Brooke. Okay, hey, whatever.
bag of shit. Okay, shit. Oh, nice.
Oh, no.
Alrighty, just stay behind my shield, boys.
I got a shield too.
They have a
Boys.
damage boosted Widowmaker. Don't get picked off.
Oh, Zen, stay behind my shield. Oh, dude. Okay, now we don't have a DPS.
So let's back up a bit, back up a bit. Oh, my shield!
Ryan.
Where's my shield?
Alright, we need help on point. We need to go on point.
Oh, we definitely need a different DPS.
No, we absolutely do. That's what I said. Tracer, can you swap? Can you swap to something else? That works.
Yes, okay, that works for him. That was so much better than the... Okay, let's just... Whoever's up there is gonna die. No.
Nano boost discharge.
No, we're not. No. Oh, watch out, the widow. Alright, ready? Let's go, let's go, go. My shield's going down though. Thank you.
Watch out, we have a Widow's on the right side, like over shooting all at us.
Ryan's one, Ryan's... I can't...
Got it, okay. We can't do anything right now. We need someone to contest this Widow. Okay, well, we have no DPS now.
Back out, back out, back out, back
I'll
out.
swap.
No, we can do triple tank. Why not triple tank?
Because they have a Zen. It's fine.
Because they have a what? Yeah, they don't have anything. We can push in. Push.
The Hanzo's gonna destroy us, I think. I'm not there.
Engine. See that? What is up top?
Get a widow. Everyone widow. See, they have to switch off their widow now because we have triple tank and
They're
they
gonna
can't
totally
really.
go Reaper now.
I
Alright,
bet.
wait, here, get everyone. Group up for armor.
back
Group up for
right.
armor.
I'm on Doomfist.
Oh yes, he's right there. He's right there. Go get him.
Where? What?
He's over here. Where'd he go?
No, it's not.
He's up top.
Alright, think about the point, guys. Think.
I know. Just get
Yeah,
on
nice.
Group up. Armor.
What? I got. That's okay. Fuck this Doom.
It's fine.
No, like he hit me mid ult.
Back up.
Fuck.
Oh.
I got him. What the? Oh, I got hit.
Oh no,
you
don't
got
lose.
killed through the tree.
We still have one healer left. Nice, come on, it's still winnable. Nice.
Sorry, one,
You have no, all healers down right now, but 2 healers coming back.
Pull back a little.
One's one. Go in.
Да, не видишь, и рыбку из пруда.
Because
I'm pushing back. Back up. We can regroup now.
Yeah, we can. Alright.
Sweet.
See, triple tank works. Just need to
Hanzo's
make sure
one.
we don't.
Ah, damn.
No, Zin!
Uh,
What are you doing?
What? Oh.
so that's huge.
oh man.
See,
Hey, everyone group up. Wait,
it
I'm
was
gonna wait for.
baiting them to push it. It was completely calculated.
I'm gonna
not.
use my rally soon, so we can all. I want Zen to get armor, especially, so he won't kill himself this time.
Shh, it's okay. It's perfect.
Okay, so we're gonna have. Shoot. Okay.
I'm coming from behind them. Oh fuck.
Oh, Ryan's
No, leave him. They can't push. Alright, group up for. Oh, you're so lit.
I can't be good. No.
They fucking wiped us.
Yeah, that was gonna happen. Yeah, just run back.
Yeah, Doom's on you. Just die. Don't prolong the inevitable. Ugh. I can't even say the word. Fuck it.
No. Ooh, do we want? Okay.
But we
Yeah,
can
Dina's
keep
probably
the.
better. But don't just try not to charge the.
Wait, why didn't we keep the Winston with this Hanzo?
Yeah.
Doomfist behind us.
Oh.
That was not the good idea.
Fist.
Why'd you call that? I followed you.
Sand spawn. Okay.
Zen has trans for sure.
We gotta get a point.
Go, go.
Oh my god. Well, I have it now. Yeah,
And that's.
Okay.
Score 0 to 3. Switching sides.
Does no one here can?
Prepare to attack.
Can someone here play Brigida? No, here, no widow.
Why not?
I'll do it.
Just for 10 seconds.
Can
Let
they-
me try.
I can play Hanzo if we do the 30 healer 2 tank thing.
But you say no widow and then you say go Hanzo.
Well,
Fuck you.
Hanzo is freaking lit, dude, right now.
Just let me pick for like 10 seconds. Not even.
Okay, then what are you swapping to?
Ryan.
Okay. We need a Brigida.
Alright.
Can everyone play these heroes? Here.
Yeah, I'm switching to Ryan after in 15 seconds. Don't worry.
Can you
see
play
if I can
Zen?
get
Flampix, can you play Zen or no? If not, it's fine.
Talon could restore your family's empire.
Okay. Hey Mercy, if you can, damage boost me because it's a one-shot headshot with an E, I believe. That's what I thought. Yeah. So.
They have a Hanzo. Ah, no.
Mercy, did you hear me? Mommy.
Commences in 30 seconds.
Mommy. It's not. It's what?
Peace be upon you.
Oh,
Well.
broken.
That Sonic arrow was amazing.
5, 4,
Thanks, Dad.
3, 2,
No problem.
1.
Can I get damage boost?
Commence.
Can I get? Oh wait, she's gonna damage boost you first.
Sup, Mercy. I'm just chilling, you
How's
know.
that?
Fucked up by. Oh, they pushed. They're not peeking. I can't. Okay, I'm switching.
We're gonna need you.
I'm coming. Oh, they already max charge. What?
I need heals. I need heals.
I got him. You. Alright, go in.
Whoa!
Pushing.
Wait, what the fuck, man? You left. You. Zarya, what the fuck? You went back into the building. I was like, okay. Oh, motherfucker.
Just there
Oh
and
my
stare.
god. Alright, I'm getting outplayed. I can't play him. You think I can play Doomfist? We're doing it.
We need Junkrat. The go Junk. Oh,
I'm gonna jump.
wise. Well, I can't run with fucking two of us. Yeah, nice. Oh. Oh shit. Call of direction, man. Okay, you.
Огонь по готовности.
They fucking.
Doomfist discorded. Behind us. Mercy
He's one. Don't put.
Mercy. God damn it, the Doom.
I have chance there.
It's so winnable.
Oh, it's so winnable. Go in.
Bring some armor.
Oh, just you. Go get him, dude.
Down.
Feels bad.
Sam twice. Save. Doomfist.
Yeah, it's a sec.
You guys got it.
Got their Mercy.
I have tire.
Oh shit, the Hanzo is mad. Their Hanzo's mad. I'm sorry for killing your Mercy.
That all we've got.
Let me know when you're getting ready to grab.
I am even stronger.
Wait, did we really charge her? Or are we dead?
Are you getting ready?
Watch out, wait.
I need healing. Do it now.
Огонь по готовности.
There you
They
go.
fucking.
Not good. Get in there.
Oh, mercy. Reinhardt. Reinhardt behind.
Oh my god.
Oh, nice.
I got 280 health. I'm coming back.
There's a Mercy behind us. Oh, got her.
Wait,
Never
what?
mind.
There's Mercy? Okay.
Yeah, no, I was trying to, and then she jumped into my thing. That was, yeah. I'm halfway to tire again. I'll go scrap. Okay, sweet.
Nice, nice pick, nice pick. Alrighty.
I'm not there yet.
No, big one, big.
The Mercy. I'm going for Mercy.
Hans is one, kill him! Oh my god.
I have all if you need it. There we go.
Nice. Thank you.
Solid push.
Switching sides. Prepare your defenses.
What are we playing
Select
with?
your hero.
Okay, sour, go different, deep. Okay, yeah, pubs. Okay, nice.
Together, we are strong.
Yeah, we can work this. Okay, now, healers, we're good.
Forget. If they
Oh,
have,
he took you out?
I'll be back.
Going down. That sucks. Let's see. Let's just not get picked off.
Attackers incoming in 30
So that
seconds.
means you. Don't get picked off.
I understand.
So who wants to be my first customer? Oh hey, how can I help you today? Sorry, we don't serve women. Can you leave? Yeah, no, both of y'all.
Can I
You don't
take the
serve-
elevator?
Yes.
Attackers incoming.
Alright, ready? Let's go.
Defend objective A.
Wait, what? Sour let the boys, bitch.
Hanzo top left. Just looking at his top.
I got Discord.
Yeah, Hanzo
Rockin'.
shooting from top left.
Zen's lit.
Hands up.
Zen's lit.
Runs. Oh, we lost our DPS. Back out, brigade. Why did that?
No, so winnable.
Wait, what the fuck was?
Oh, left.
Oh, Ryan's one coming out of the building. Nice.
Perseverance.
60 seconds.
I just regroup.
Damn it.
Everyone regroup.
I'm gonna have,
Hey, everyone follow me. Everyone follow me. Go top.
Give me a second, I'm coming back from spawn. Fuck. They only have 40 something seconds. Hey, wait for me, cause we can clear him with,
Get in
grab.
there.
At 30 seconds, they're gonna be, like, pass it.
No, but it'll kill almost, or basically everyone else, right?
Oh, he's right there! Everyone back up! Why'd you shoot him? Oh, you gave away.
Tell me when you're gonna grab.
You know what
Tell
they
me when you're
didn't
grab.
actually notice? It's about the fact that I just shot like 5 shots at him.
Alright, ready?
Ready, yes, ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Go. Oh shit, that's far.
Ooh. It's amazing.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm mercy.
Oh, I just
Ryan's
fucked
low,
up.
Ryan's low. Got it.
I fucked up.
Go.
Winnable.
Even fight.
Get this in! Oh my god, you. Ooh.
It's winnable.
Yep.
No, I already used it. It didn't work.
Kill him! Okay, massive! They're low!
Brigitte 1. Oh, they're all 1. Kill. Eat the hell up.
Okay, dance done.
Nice.
Alright, winnable.
Score 3-4. Switching sides.
That Shadow won us a game.
Prepare to attack. Select your
I was hoping that Mercy got like the shatter, but she just like turned the corner in that little building. I'm like, fuck.
Together,
Like,
strong.
honestly, it looks so epic, and then it was like, oh shit.
Thank Farah.
Well, you know, shit happens. You know, it's like bad days. You know how it is, guys. You know. Let's see. Oh, we're going Bastion. Let me stop. No. You. Oh my. Oh yeah, turn it, baby.
attack
Do you guys agree with the Farah pick or no?
They have definite Hanzo, but
So which way is it turning?
wait, Flam, where are you playing?
Zen.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, go back to Zen if you can. Okay, now go back to Ana. Sorry. Nice, okay. Let's go in.
attack commence. Capture objective.
Alright, ready?
Oh, I'm almost dead.
Well, that was very essential. Back out, everyone back out. How did he?
Huh.
Oh, Wappy's a really good Hanzo, by the way, so just saying. You may have to.
Ridiculous, dude.
My ultimate is charged.
Are you ready?
Brian's one. Oh.
Where?
Hanzo's dead? Okay. Kill Ryan. Big!
Shadow.
Hands up behind us. Hands up behind us. Why not?
Brian. Oh, shit.
Oh, he wasted chatter too.
Pistol up. Pistol Mercy.
Hey, get point. No, don't worry, she can.
Got it.
Kill her now, she doesn't have a shield.
Oh, dude.
What?
Fine, I'll get it.
Perfect.
Hey, let's go grab Barrage, yeah?
My ultimate is ready. Come on.
The payload.
My ultimate is ready.
The Zen definitely has translate. The Zarya has grab for sure.
Gotta do a lot of damage.
I can eat through it though with
Yeah.
the.
Valid.
Dude,
Stay.
Oh, we can survive? Oh, never mind.
I have shadow for this fight. Just don't use ults.
That's
Don't
an
use ults.
insane amount of damage.
dude, I don't know, dude.
The guy. 3,000.
Alright, ready?
Trans. Everybody died through it.
Zen swap, Zen.
Watch out, Hanzo top.
On the window.
Yep, I'm ready.
60 seconds.
Go now.
Oh, I got shattered.
Okay.
Oh, I know. They're so.
Yeah, the shield blocked.
Rigger, we have one last push. Fuck. Did
I
they
don't
use
know.
trans or not? Did they use trans?
And they did.
Okay.
Just say it. Oh, Reaper.
I'm so in watch out.
30 seconds remaining.
Ready?
Yep.
Wait, why are you Are you ready?
You can bubble Mercy.
Oh, it's gonna be a huge shadow.
Push.
It's gonna be a massive shatter. Massive! Oh, fucking.
Shadow. Oh.
Come on, you have to kill him now. There's only tanks. Kill him, soul bomb, soul. 3 on point.
Pushing on up.
Sleeping.
Run one. Right down. Oh no.
Anti, at least Richard has.
Got it.
Winnable.
Lucio.
Oh, close. no.
Go back up.
No. Feels bad.
Oh my god.
So close.
GG.
Oh, close.
Play of the game.
Fire at will!
In this case, it was a block of letters and symbols. The Zodiac was some trickster. While he later wrote a letter saying the cipher contained his name, it was actually later discovered to have said, "I will not give you my name." He sent a series of letters, sometimes with ciphers. The first cipher, when worked out, contained a message, part of which read, "The best part of it is that when I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and all those that I have killed will become my slaves." He even wrote to Chronicle reporter Paul Avery, who had been working on the case. It was a Halloween card that contained the text, "Peekaboo, you are doomed." This was a threat, a matter that became serious for Avery. Despite what the Zodiac movie tells us, it was later said by Avery's friends and colleagues that the case didn't drive him to drugs and drink and his eventual death. That part is fiction, said the people. The last letter received was on January 29, 1974. In this letter, the Zodiac wrote that the film The Exorcist was a great satirical comedy. He left a symbol that has never been explained, and like that, he was gone. So, why was he never caught? Well, firstly, some people do think the police had their man, they just didn't have the sufficient evidence to get a conviction. The prime suspect has always been Arthur Lee Allen, and he's the only one that police gained search warrants for. Several police officers have said they thought it was him. Robert Graysmith, the cartoonist at the San Francisco Chronicle,
Select your hero.
Together, we are strong. Are you finished?
Expect nothing.
Attack commences in 30 seconds.
I live for a good fight.
Group up with me. Group up.
We shall prove ourselves in glory.
who was very close to the case at the time of the murders,
Hey, what's
wrote a
up,
book
everybody?
called
How's
Zodiac,
everybody
and
doing
in it,
today?
he puts Alan as the main culprit.
Some
The police were
microphones.
all over.
Good morning.
Three,
Yeah, let's go.
attack commence. Escort the payload.
Wowee.
Alright, we need to win the shield battle, please.
Well, that's one right now.
No shield, man.
Junkrat's on the right. Junkrat's very right. He's going back. Nope, he's sticking around. Junkrat
Yeah.
fell on the low ground. Junkrat's low. Junkrat's on the right.
Oh, you gotta go out of my way, come back! Jeez.
Man, help me! So low!
Stop running away from me!
I didn't run away, I'm a pit!
Come on.
Oh, they're coming out.
I got Jada.
Has reached the checkpoint.
I'm escorting the payload. Let's keep it moving.
It's up top. I killed the Junkrat though. To the right, right behind you guys, to the right.
They're low, they're low!
Hog's behind.
Why did you ult? Why did you ult? It was my play of the game with Molten Core.
Put up, right side.
Hey, Ferris in the sky, Ferris in the sky. The bird is in the sky. Nice spin on the Rodog, my dude. Hanzo high ground. Mercy's resing the Pharaoh. Be careful. Heal, heal. Heal me. Thank you. Orisa's very low as well. Orisa's half. Orisa's no longer half. They're top left. Yes, yes, Pharaoh's behind. Widow's behind too!
Ferris.
Nice!
Complete. Score 3-0. Switching sides. Prepare your defenses. Select your hero. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Be sure to stretch before engaging in rigorous physical activity.
Greetings. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Is that all you've got? Get in there!
Good thing. I'm not stuck.
Barriers on. Not good.
From just step right. Nice. Cutting my shit.
My ultimate is charging. Ready for battle. My ultimate is charging. An ominous portent.
Ah, you missed the door. Right room. I got pinned out of there?
Come on, come on.
Alright, I'm probably going
I'm pushing. Good. I bet.
Dude, I'm back. Right after. Run. Fucking sharp.
My will is unbroken.
Come and face me!
This will heal you. Your cover. Forget that.
Alright, bro. Don't kill him.
I threw the wrong orb, I'm sorry. I'm throwing.
I want to take out.
Yeah, but I wanted that farm.
That orb is gone.
Ooh, Han's on top.
Barriers on you.
I got Trader.
Have a healing orb come to you guys.
I have a lot of nice heals. You guys saved me. It's like you guys like me or something. Is it that you guys like me or is it that you wanted to smoke up more? Which is it?
You suck!
And it was a very smooth game, guys. Without any hiccups. Ow! Nice game. Nice.
Did you?
Play of the game.
On the evening of March 31st, 1922, over him for almost 20 years and in the end had a lot of leads: bloody knives in his car, matching footprints at the murder scene, a knowledge of ciphers, a positive ID from a survivor, being seen close to one killing, other people saying he had bragged about killing and had talked about naming himself Zodiac. He even had a history of abusing children and an apparent hatred for women, although police said they just could not find enough evidence to convict him. So perhaps it's as simple as that. Cops had their man, but he slipped through their hands. His handwriting didn't match, and neither did his DNA on the envelopes of the Zodiac letters. Alan was found dead in 1992 at his home. Was it Richard Gaykowski, a good fit for the sketch, mentally unstable, and most of all linked to the ciphers that were sent? Still, the man's friends have given him solid alibis for some of the murders. Was it Earl Van Best Jr., an absolute dead ringer for the Zodiac sketch, and his name seems to appear in the ciphers? Some people have said it might have been the Unabomber, aka Theodore J. Kaczynski, but given his intellect, modus operandi, and of course his twisted but profound reason for killing, it just wouldn't make sense. One connection we suppose is that they both wrote to newspapers to spread the news of their wicked game. Was it Ricky Marshall, who owned a typewriter and liked the same movies as the Zodiac? That's hardly a strong case. Was it mentally ill Lawrence Kane, who knew coding, whose name may have been in the ciphers, and who was actually a colleague of one of the victims? What about Ross Sullivan, another mentally ill man that was close to the location of the murders and a good fit for the sketch? And guess what? The Zodiac once mentioned the opera The Mikado, written by none other than Gilbert and Sullivan. The list goes on, but these guys have all been discussed widely by people that have followed the case professionally, and also all those online sleuths we have these days. There are plenty of zodiologists out there, and many have differing opinions. Why was he never caught? Many hypotheses have been put forward, from bad police work, different police departments working on the case and not communicating well, to good old plain luck on the killer side, to the fact the killer was likely not related in any way to any of the victims. They usually are, even if it means they regularly catch the same bus. He chose his locations carefully, for the most part, which were often totally remote and far from each other. We might also add that back in the 60s and 70s, the forensic technology was primitive compared to now. These days, it's likely his murders would not have only been on CCTV, but they'd be going viral after being posted on something like LiveLeak. Even the lead investigator on the Zodiac case doesn't know why they didn't catch him in the end. His name was Dave Tashi, and we'll leave you with something he said. Why didn't we get this guy? I ended up with a bleeding ulcer over this case. It still haunts me, it always will. He's dead now. Rest in peace, Dave. So, why do you think the Zodiac killer was never caught? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called Jack the Ripper, Why He Was Never Found. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. What makes a serial killer the worst of his or her kind? Well, it's probably a few things, such as the body count, but for most people, it would more likely be the nature of the killing. The UK's Harold Shipman, aka Dr. Death, may have killed well over 200 people, but you could say his modus operandi wasn't as depraved as some killers. Richard Ramirez, the American Satanist, got up close and personal to his victims and did all manner of horrific things to them. Albert Fish tortured, mutilated, killed, and ate children, and he was subsequently called a psychiatric phenomenon. The list goes on, and the total depravity of killers can chill your spine. Today we are going to feature one person who often receives the superlative of worst. In this episode of the Infographic Show, H.H. Holmes. Is he the worst serial killer in US history? Where do we start? Well, what about the fairly recent revelations that the killer who is the focus of today's show may have been none other than Jack the Ripper? It's an outside chance, and no indisputable evidence has been seen, but the great-great-grandson of Herman Webster Mudgett, aka H.H. Holmes, aka the Devil in the White City, came forward in 2017 and said he had evidence that proved his deceased relative was London's infamous Ripper. The great-great-grandson, Jeff Mudgett, believes Holmes was never actually executed, having found a way out of it after employing his well-known trickery. He also claims that Holmes's diaries, which he is now the owner of, described viciously mutilating and murdering prostitutes in London. Could the man said to be America's first serial killer be much worse than we thought? This is very likely not the case because in 2017 his body was exhumed and was found to be largely preserved due to the fact that Holmes got his wish and was buried in a coffin filled with concrete. A DNA test was performed and indeed it revealed that the preserved body was that of H.H. Holmes. So what about H.H. Holmes? Why is he said to be one of the worst, if not the worst, in history? What exactly did he do to get that epithet? First of all, we don't know how many people he killed. He confessed to 27 murders, but police have only ever been sure about 9 of his murders. Some people believe that he may have killed in the region of 200 people, but that is very questionable. It isn't how many people he killed, however. As we say, Dr. Shipman is never regarded as the worst killer, but the manner in which he supposedly killed people. He was said to be a sadist, a fellow with a brutal propensity for watching people suffer and feel pain, and he would do this when they were locked inside one of his torture rooms. But let's start from the beginning. He was born in New Hampshire on May 16, 1861, and his childhood has been written about extensively. Did he torture animals, as many serial killers have been said to do, or was his childhood fairly normal? He is said to have admitted himself, "I was born with the very devil in me. The inclination to murder came to me as naturally as the inspiration to do right comes to the majority of persons." His early life fits the pattern of regular folks. He graduated high school, got married, had a kid, went to university. He then dropped out of one university and later went to another from which he graduated. If anything does point to his wicked ways, it's that he studied human dissection and as a young man was said to be violent towards his wife. But then things got out of hand. He started to move from city to city, and on at least 2 occasions was linked to the murders of young boys. One boy disappeared after allegedly being seen with Holmes, and another died after taking drugs from the pharmacy where Holmes worked. He certainly liked to keep moving, which could be the reason why most accounts of his life state that before he finally arrived in Chicago, he had become a big-time fraudster. Notably, it said his cons involved insurance, with one biography saying Holmes was stealing and mutilating medical cadavers and pretending they were victims of accidents to collect money. As for the dead children, police never linked them to Holmes. It's only in retrospect that we might wonder if he had anything to do with them. In Chicago, though, that's where the ghastly stuff really took place, when Holmes created his sick piece de resistance that became known as his murder castle. This was a 3-story building on Chicago's 63rd and Wallace Streets. A huge place, it took up an entire block. He called it the World's Fair Hotel, built for the upcoming World's Columbian Exposition, but it never really became a proper hotel. Holmes had all manner of problems with suppliers and was accused of possible insurance fraud when part of it burned down. It was always a shady project, only because Holmes seemed to have a difficult relationship with anyone involved with it. In 1937, long after Holmes's arrest, the Chicago Tribune described the place as queer, stating it had chimneys stuck out where chimneys should never stick out, its stairways ended nowhere in particular, winding passages brought the uninitiated with a frightful jerk back to where they had started from. They called it mysterious and crooked, as distorted as the killer's mind, with rooms with no doors and doors with no rooms. The stuff of nightmares. The thing with the house is that Holmes was the only person who knew how it actually worked. It was kind of a maze, a house of horrors that made no sense to other people. It was to this mad place that he invited mainly young women to stay. Some say it's hard to tell exactly what he did though, or who he killed, only because the man who was married to 3 people at the same time liked to tell a lot of lies. Benjamin Pitezel was a friend of Holmes, and also an accomplice in some of his crimes. Pitezel had agreed with Holmes to do a scam, whereby Pitezel's death would be faked and they would share a $10,000 life insurance payment. However, Holmes never got a cadaver which he would say was his friend's, rather he knocked his friend out with chloroform and then set him on fire. Holmes later said he murdered 3 out of 5 of Pitezel's children. 2 of their bodies were found buried in the hotel. Holmes is also said to have murdered his mistress, Julia Smith, as well as her daughter Pearl. No one knows exactly what happened to them, but they went missing while staying at the hotel. This was not the first young woman who'd fallen for Holmes, who would die when staying with him, with several young women said to be his victims. One of the reasons why Holmes is so notorious is because of the stories that surfaced about his home being a massive torture chamber. Some skeptics, though, have said that this has been greatly exaggerated. These supposed exaggerations tell us that some of the rooms would have instruments of torture hidden in the walls, such as blowtorches, tools for tearing apart bodies, hidden poison, and corrosive acid. It said there was a hanging room, a torture rack, and that there were gas chambers, a quicklime pit, and also that the walls were ironclad to prevent people from escaping. Once they died, there were chutes from which the bodies could easily be disposed. But at the time, newspapers were well known for their exaggeration, and later others said perhaps Holmes was not as bad as first thought. In The Gem of the Prairie, an informal history of the Chicago underworld by Herbert Ashbury, he writes that perhaps Holmes wasn't quite the sadistic torturer others had said he was. Maybe even his House of Horrors was less of a trap made by a demented man than it was a badly built hotel. We can find many websites that write sensational stories about him, but more serious journalism is skeptical about his deeds. Some people even doubt he said, "I was born with the very devil in me." In fact, it was later revealed that he was said to have a hanging room only because police found a rope, and that he chopped his victims up only because they found knives in a worn-out table. Mr. Holmes was no doubt a dastardly character, a heartless scammer, and a cruel murderer and thief, but as for the rest of the story, maybe, just maybe, there has been some embellishments. So, do you know more about H.H. Holmes that we neglected to mention here? Can you think of a serial killer more heinous than he? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called The Most Infamous Serial Killer: Why He Was Never Found. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time! Following on from our strangest serial killer in the US, we now bring you one of the weirdest tales from the dark side of humanity. Okay, so our woman of the hour may not have been as maniacal as lady killer Ted Bundy, or as utterly demented as Ed Gein, the man who liked to dress in skin suits made from dead women, but she has certainly worked her way into the serial killer hall of infamy just for originality. It's conceivable the novel and then movie Fight Club may have used her wicked deeds as inspiration regarding soap made out of liposuction waste, so we can't say she made her mark on history. Welcome to this episode of the Infographic Show, Leonarda Cianciulli, aka the Human Flesh Soap Maker. Okay, so there isn't really a big reveal to this show, as the title pretty much explains what this serial killer got up to. But who was she before she started making lumps of soap out of the people she killed? Let's start with a short bio. Leonarda Cianciulli, aka the Human Soap Maker, aka the Soap Maker of Correggio, in Italian it sounds much more poetic, La Saponificatrice di Correggio, was born in 1894 and lived until an old age, dying in 1970. Her childhood wasn't easy, and reading about it, you might not be surprised that she turned out, a little odd. Apparently her mother was a nasty woman, telling Leonarda that she was cursed by the devil and that her life would come to nothing. That's not easy on a child, and when she was a teenager, she tried to commit suicide not once, but twice. She was yet another serial killer with what is known as an overbearing mother. She then met a fellow when she got older, a registry office clerk, but he wasn't quite what her mother was expecting, and so the man was vociferously disapproved of. She had in total 17 kids, which is quite the accomplishment, but unfortunately only 4 of them lived past the age of 10. You could say after all that heartache and pain, she was a protective mother to those that survived. Leonarda doted on her kids, but she was full of anger at what life had thrown at her. And it threw a lot more than dying children and miscarriages. Perhaps it was very much her fault when she got imprisoned for fraud at the age of 33, but when an earthquake destroyed her house a few years later, that seemed like rotten luck again. Nonetheless, this unlucky woman was apparently well liked in her community, if not in her own mind, doomed somewhat. In fact, it said she even believed that her mother was right, and indeed she was cursed. She went to see a gypsy fortune teller, but that just made matters a lot worse, as it said this is what she was told. In your right hand, I see prison, in your left, a criminal asylum. Okay, so you kinda get the picture. This is a woman who had a brutal life, but on the surface of things, she looked okay. Her neighbors liked her, and she was a loving mother to the dear children that didn't kick the bucket before they got out of primary school. But something sinister was lurking behind the scenes. Imagine this. One day your neighbor, a loving mother and good friend, the owner of a shop in town, a trusted member of the community, invites you for cake and coffee. You accept the offer and are greeted with some sweet-tasting cakes. Only you don't know that the cakes are part human. Yes, between 1939 and 1940, when she was about 42 or 43, Leonarda murdered 3 women. The story goes that she wasn't just killing because she was inherently evil, but she believed, again, that she was cursed and that to keep her remaining kids alive, she had to make some sacrifices, as you do. She was particularly concerned about her favorite son Giuseppe, who had just signed up to the Italian army and was about to join the battlefields of bloody Europe. So, that's what she did. She made some sacrifices like those old school Aztecs who propitiated the gods with human blood. Leonarda lured these women into her shop and then drugged them. After they passed out, she killed them with an axe and then boiled their bodies in caustic soda. So far so good, but that doesn't mean everything just disappears. In her own diaries, Leonarda described what was left as a thick, dark mush. So, our killer went a step further. You might know that regular soap often contains animal fats. So, Miss Cianciulli realized she could turn human fat into soap. She actually explained this in her diaries. Her flesh was fat and white. When it had melted, I added a bottle of cologne, and after a long time on the boil, I was able to make some most acceptable creamy soap. I gave bars to neighbors and acquaintances. What a sweet gift that was, and Leonarda went as far as to call the remains of her victims very sweet. She didn't stop there though. Waste not, want not was likely her motto. She used part of this mush to make what she called crunchy cakes. This wasn't, it seems, out of rage towards her neighbors, because she said she and her sons all ate the delicious cakes. She said of her process, "As for the blood in the basin, I waited until it had coagulated, dried it in the oven, ground it, and mixed it with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, and eggs, as well as a bit of margarine, kneading all the ingredients together. Voila! Human cake." You could at least call her resourceful, which isn't necessarily a bad thing during a world war. But she wasn't exactly a clever killer and was easily found out. You see, she didn't just make things from her victims, but she scammed them out of money too. She went as far as to tell these women that she had found a great teaching job for them abroad, and just before they set off, Leonarda coerced them to write to their family and friends, explaining that they would be leaving the country for a while to work. There was no job, of course, and a fate worse than cake awaited them. One such victim, Virginia Cacioppo, had disappeared, and her sister had said the last person who had seen her was that shopkeeper called Leonarda. She didn't buy into the teaching job and believed a cunning canard had taken place. She was right. Later, Leonarda would remark that this was her best victim in terms of how she turned out on the plate and in the bathroom. In her diaries she wrote, "The cakes, too, were better. That woman was really sweet." At first the Italian cops accused Leonarda, who denied any wrongdoing. But then the cops accused her son, good old Giuseppe, and that was too much to bear for the doting mother. She confessed to everything, even the soap and cake bit. Not surprisingly, this soon became a cause célèbre in Italy. The trial lasted 3 days, and after that, our loving mother would spend a total of 30 years in prison and 3 years in an asylum. She died at age 76 from a cerebral apoplexy. She still causes shivers down people's spines today, as you can see her axe and other instruments, including the pot in which she boiled the bodies, at the Criminology Museum in Rome, Italy. Well, that's all we have to say about this strange cannibal. Only in Italy can a cannibal turn her victim not only into a delicious dessert, but also a sweet fragrance. What are your thoughts regarding this serial killer? Pure evil or worthy of sympathy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called Worst Punishments in the History of Mankind. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time! Disaster struck a small Bavarian farmstead about 43 miles north of Munich, Germany. The 6 inhabitants of the farm were killed with a matic, an agricultural tool similar to a pickaxe, and the murders remain chillingly unsolved. A few days prior to the killing spree, the father, farmer Andreas Gruber, told neighbors that he discovered mysterious footprints in the snow leading from the edge of the forest to the farm, but there were no footsteps leading back to the house. The house keys had gone missing several days before the horrific crime. A maid had left the farm 6 months before the brutal killing, claiming that the farmstead was haunted. The new maid arrived at the farm that fateful day and was rewarded for her troubles with an axe to the face later that night. What the hell happened on that tragic winter night? Today we investigate, in this episode of the Infographic Show, the Hinterkaifeck murders. Although their farm was nestled out of sight, the Gruber family was infamous in the area even before the events of that terrifying night. Andreas Gruber was the antisocial type, and not averse to domestic violence directed mostly at his wife Casilia. He had, according to locals, maintained an incestuous relationship with his daughter Victoria, who he kept strict control of and forbade to remarry. She did, however, manage to travel to church regularly, where it was said she sang with a beautiful yet mournful singing voice in the church choir. Life at the farm turned weird when their maid Maria told the family that she had to leave the farm immediately. She'd been hearing voices around the house and was kept awake at night by the sound of disembodied footsteps coming from the attic. Sensing evil had taken hold of the house, and fearing for her safety and sanity, she told the family she had to leave. 6 months later, she would be proven tragically right. The victims on that bloody night were 6 in number. The parents, Andreas and Casilia, aged 63 and 72, their widowed daughter, Victoria Gabriel, aged 35, her children, Casilia and Joseph, aged 7 and 2, and the new family maid, Maria Baumgartner, aged 44. Exactly what happened that night will never be known for certain. However, it is thought that whoever killed them lured each member of the family into the barn one by one. Except, that is, for the 2-year-old Joseph, who was murdered in his cot, and the maid, who was slaughtered in her bedchamber. The report from the autopsies, undertaken by court physician Dr. John Baptiste Aumüller, showed the elder Casilia exhibited signs of strangulation and 7 blows to the head leading to a cracked skull. Her husband's face was so badly beaten, his cheekbones protruded from his shredded face. Victoria's skull was smashed, and her head had several star-shaped wounds. The young Kezelia's jaw had been shattered, and her neck and face covered in large gaping wounds. Her hair was discovered in clumps in her hands, while bald patches were on her head. The 7-year-old had not been killed instantly, and it is thought that while trapped in the dark with her dead parents beside her in the barn, true panic set in. She would have been terrified, pulling out her own hair with abject fear, too terrified to even scream for help. Inside the farmhouse, little Joseph and the maid were killed with swift blows to the head and face. The killer had probably remained in the house for 4 days following the murder, as smoke bellowing from the chimney could be seen by the neighbors. The farm animals had been fed, and somebody, presumably the killer, had even gone to the trouble of milking the cows. The killer helped himself to food from the kitchen and prepared meals at the farm. On April 4th, neighbors came to the farmstead as the family hadn't been seen for 4 days and Kezelia had failed to turn up for school. Also, the postman noticed that the mail remained untouched, which was no surprise as the entire family and their maid had been horrifically murdered in cold blood. The police had first pointed the finger at vagrants, or vague traveling men of bad repute, as potential culprits, but this theory was abandoned when large sums of money were discovered untouched in the house. The previous maid was questioned, and she reported that beyond the strange sounds in the house, it was the cold, unpleasant feeling of being watched that caused her to finally up and leave. Police closed in on Lawrence Schlittenbauer, who had had an affair with Victoria, and who had been none other than the man who had led the search party to the house on the 4th of April. Lawrence was suspected of being Joseph's father and was set to marry Victoria if not for her father's interference. Police also considered a murder-suicide pact between Andreas and Victoria, but that idea was abandoned when the wounds were found inconsistent with such an event. In 1923, the farm was burned to the ground. In 1999, the police were contacted by an elderly woman who claimed her former landlord had information about the Hinterkaifeck affair. Officials investigated but discovered the suspect had already died. With relatives still alive, the name of the suspect was never circulated. In 2007, a team of police academy students used modern detection techniques to investigate the unsolved murder. The students narrowed the search down to one suspect, but they didn't name him or her, again out of respect for the suspect's living relatives. So, the case remains open and likely to stay that way. What do you think happened on that fateful night? Can you think of any more recent cold case files worth mentioning? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to watch our other video called What Actually Happens in the Bermuda Triangle. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time! Today's episode is sponsored by Audible. Get a free audiobook with a 30-day trial today by signing up at audible.com/infographics. Go to audible.com/infographics or text infographics to 500-500 to get started. I'm just going outside and maybe sometime were the last words of British explorer Lawrence Oates as he walked out into a blizzard during an Antarctica expedition. He did this because he was sick and slowing the others down. He made a sacrifice and was never seen again. We can, however, infer that Mr. Oates didn't survive very long, and perhaps the remains of his body are still out there entombed in ice. But there are some people who bid friends adieu and just seem to disappear off the face of the planet. This even happened to an entire plane full of people not too recently. Today we'll look at some of the most renowned vanishing cases. In this episode of the Infographic Show, disappearances that still can't be explained. Number 10. Richie Edwards. We'll start with a rock star, and no, this list won't include Elvis despite some people not believing he is 6 feet under. Richie Edwards, a member of the iconic rock group the Manic Street Preachers, did actually disappear, and his body has never been found. The enigmatic political poet became a member of the 27 Club when it's believed he may have committed suicide. It's not that simple though, as Edwards had given a book to a friend just before he went missing about a vanishing. While missing, he was also apparently seen at a passport office by a fan. His car was later found abandoned close to a bridge known as a suicide spot. He had always said he was too strong for suicide in spite of self-harming. To add to the mystery, people have said they have spotted him as far as Goa, India, and also on some Spanish islands. To this day, some people think he'd had enough of fame and wanted complete anonymity rather than he threw himself off a bridge in Wales. Number 9. Benjamin Bathurst. And now for someone completely different, a British diplomat called Benjamin Bathurst. Like the person at number 10, Bathurst's disappearance has also been the focus of widespread speculation. On November 25, 1809, he was staying at an inn in Germany while on government business. He was getting ready and told his travel companion he'd be down in a second and would join him in the horse and buggy. He was never seen again. Search parties were sent to look for him, even though he'd only gone missing walking out of an inn to a parked carriage. His story became a thing of science fiction, with people writing about him entering a parallel universe, or an inescapable maze in another dimension, or that he was taken into the future. Others believe he was simply murdered by someone very skilled at hiding dead bodies. Number 8. Jim Thompson. American Jim Thompson was known as the Silk King, and he made a fortune in the 50s and 60s when he almost single-handedly reinvigorated the Thai silk industry. Still today, his stores bear his name in bold letters. But at 61 years old, in the year of 1967, Jim went missing on a walk in the Malaysian highlands, and since then his vanishing has become the subject of many conspiracy theories. There is even a book about his vanishing called Jim Thompson. We could be referring to who had the best shot in terms of distance, or who had the most kills to his or her name. Today we'll focus more on the most prolific sniper, the person with the biggest body count. You've probably all heard of Chris Kyle, the American soldier who was the inspiration behind the movie American Sniper. The Department of Defense tells us he had 160 kills to his name. Ironically, Kyle was later shot and killed at a shooting range in the US. The British media in 2015 reported that a Royal Marine was the world's deadliest sniper with 173 kills, though they didn't name him. But none of these sniping upstarts have anything on the man we're going to talk about today in this episode of the Infographic Show, the best sniper in history. If you look around the web, the consensus is that the focus of today's show is indeed the deadliest sniper that ever lived. His name was Simo Häyhä, and he was a Finnish Army second lieutenant. We are told he killed somewhere between 505 and 542 people. His victims were Russian, and they were killed during the Winter War. This was a conflict between Finland and the Soviet Union that started in 1939 and lasted just over 3 months. That's a short amount of time, but it was enough time to cement Häyhä's name in history. The number of casualties in those 3 months was reportedly around 25,900 Finnish deaths and 126,900 Russian deaths. Häyhä's kills were even recorded by the Finnish military. The document states how many people he had killed up until that day, not how many people he killed on that day. It's thought his biggest tally on one day was about 25 deaths. On December 22, 1939, the document states that he killed 138 people. On January 26, 1940, he killed 199 people. On February 17, 1940, he killed 217 people, and on March 7, 1940, he killed 259 people. That day wasn't the best day of his life, as he was very seriously wounded. He took a Red Army bullet right to the face, and that's why photos of him that circulate around the web depict a monstrous-looking man. Sorry about being so blunt, Simo. The wound didn't slow him down so much though, and he lived a long life. He was born in 1905 and lived until the ripe old age of 97, dying in 2002. But who was this man? Well, the Finnish told all kinds of stories about him, as he was the focus of a lot of propaganda. Back in those days, war heroes were an important piece of national storytelling in many countries, used to foment pride in the public and give people hope. He was born in Finland, very close to the border with Russia. At the age of 20, he became a volunteer in the Finnish Civil Guard, and it was certain he was going to be of some use. Prior to signing up, he was said to be an excellent hunter, but he'd also won awards for his marksmanship in many shooting competitions. Apparently, he had amassed so many trophies, his house was full of them. He was later enlisted as a sniper in the Finnish army, and his battleground was mostly in the snow, hence many photos of him are dressed in all white, looking a bit like James Bond. Apparently, the Soviets were a bit behind the Finnish in this respect, and their army was decked out in normal army clothing. This made them very easy to spot and kill, while Lucky Häyhä was extremely difficult to see. The Finnish media jumped on this, calling him the Invisible Soldier and giving him the sobriquet White Death. What else do we know about him? According to Business Insider, the Nordic version, he was humble. The same source says he would wait for his victims, sometimes as far as 300 meters away, but usually around 150 meters away. Hard to spot in his camouflage, you couldn't even see his breath in the cold as he put snow in his mouth. The BBC interviewed him on a few occasions, and so we know the following. Apparently Häyhä was what we might call a Finnish hick and enjoyed a life in the wilderness. His hobbies, according to interviews, were skiing, hunting, and shooting. The same article says that the Russians feared this man so much they once tried to kill him by just bombarding the area he was in with hails of bullets and mortar, but they missed and the White Death walked away. They once dropped an artillery shell on him too, and apparently all that happened to Heiha was his coat got ripped and he again walked away with a minor scratch. It's said he treated his occupation as a sniper like he would hunting, once telling the press that he felt no guilt about killing. "I only did my duty and what I was told to do as well as I could," he said. As for his modus operandi, the BBC writes, he also became a master of using sounds, smoke, and artillery fire to cover his movements when changing position. With maps very scarce during the war, Heiha relied on his memory to find the best hiding positions. It's said he was always careful and even obsessive about finding the right position, making sure his gun wouldn't jam and generally setting up the place where he would be shooting from. The strange thing is, his M2830 gun didn't even have a telescopic sight, but this was the same gun that Heiha had hunted with throughout his life, and so he was very familiar with it. It's said that as a kid he would hunt birds in the forests, and to hunt this small prey, you needed to have a remarkable shot. We are told that this is one of the reasons why hunters so often make the best snipers. You can't focus on moving targets at the army shooting range, so experience killing animals is a must. The smaller the better. The BBC writes, as a young man, he also learned to estimate the effects of wind and rain on shooting and conditions in forests. Alas, our meritorious marksman was finally hit in the face, and the shot took off much of his jaw. It's said that he spent the rest of his life in near constant pain, not to mention looking something like Sloth from the Goonies. He had 26 surgical operations, but his face would never be the same again. He would carry on hunting, however, and his eyesight was always just as good as it was during the war. His victims were never again human, and perhaps as moose was his favorite animal to kill, he wouldn't miss very often. He even did some hunting trips with one Finnish president. There is a book about him out called The White Sniper, if you want to know more. We'll leave you with a quote right from the horse's mouth. "War is not a pleasant experience, but who else would protect this land unless we are willing to do it ourselves?" So, have you ever shot a gun before? Do you think you have what it would take to become a professional sniper? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called US F-35 versus Russian Su-35 fighter jet, which would win. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time! Education provides us with knowledge and perspective when growing up. It helps us to form opinions and views on the way the world works and acts as a foundation for success in later life. A safe school for students and teachers is essential so we can study hard and gain a good education. But as with all human social environments, where people of different ages and cultural backgrounds spend many hours together each day, there will always be disruption and danger. On today's show, we're going to look at schools in America. Which are the most dangerous, what makes them dangerous, and why some schools are more dangerous than others. We'll be reviewing all the latest government data, seeing what the media has to say, and building our list of 10 schools that top the crime list. Welcome to this episode of the Infographic Show, the most dangerous schools in America. At number 10, we have Wilkinsburg Middle School in Pennsylvania. A study by the Pennsylvania think tank Commonwealth Foundation found the worst performing schools in the state to be 5 times more likely to be the location of violent crimes. Wilkinsburg was found to have the highest crime rate in Pennsylvania with 137 incidents per 100 students. Wilkinsburg Senior High followed with a rate of 78 incidents per 100 students, with the two combining to make 192 assaults on both teachers and students in the years 2010 to 2011. Next, at number 9, let's take a look at Northwestern High School in Baltimore, Maryland. This city is famous for a few things, including Edgar Allan Poe, the TV show The Wire, and of course the Baltimore Ravens. But the city still has a lot of work to do. With a crime rate of 1,417 per 100,000 residents, this school is located in an unfortunate area where the criminal behavior overlaps into the education system. At number 8 is DeWitt School in New York. This school in the Bronx would be as dangerous inside the walls as it is on the streets outside if it was not for the metal detectors that greet students when they arrive for class. Weapons such as brass knuckles, guns, and knives were seized 33 times during routine screenings in 2010. It became known as New York's most heavily armed school. In the same year, the school had 252 reports of violent or disruptive behavior. At number 7 is Fort Pierce Westwood High School in St. Lucie. This school was featured in the news in 2017 when a 10th grade student was arrested at the school and charged with possession of a weapon on school property, possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, possession of marijuana with intent to sell, possession of less than 20 grams of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Number 6 is Strawberry Mansion High School in Philadelphia. ABC News reported in 2013 that this school of 437 students has 94 security cameras lining the halls, and each morning students were screened for razor blades in tinfoil and knives hidden in backpacks. Some children even came to school with Vaseline on their faces to avoid scratches in fights. Up until 2013, the school had spent 62 years on Pennsylvania's list of persistently dangerous high schools. Lucky for the school, Principal Linda Cleott Wayman arrived to pull it out of trouble, which partially turned the school around. At number 5, we have Abraham Lincoln High School in Philadelphia. It has been federal law since 2006 that states must label schools that meet a certain number of crimes per student for 2 or more consecutive years as persistently dangerous. In Pennsylvania, Lincoln High has made the list every year since the rule took effect. In December 2017, 3 students from the school were arrested and charged as adults in the beating death of a man in northeast Philadelphia's Holmesburg area. At number 4, we have Northwestern Middle School in Jacksonville, Florida. Duval County is ranked as one of the most dangerous counties in the state of Florida. During the 2014 to 2015 school year, Duval County had 11,537 total incidents of crime, violence, and disruptive behavior. The next closest on the list is Miami-Dade County with 8,854 total incidents. Being located here does not help, and Northwestern Middle School reports arson, sex crimes, weapons discovered, and approximately 3 violent fights minimum each week. At number 3 is South Philadelphia High School. The area is known for gang behavior and violence, but not only is it a problem outside in the streets, it has found its way into the school classrooms and playgrounds. Gangs are thought to be a big problem and are being linked to increases in bullying at the school. Back in 2010, this was displayed at its worst when 70 students stormed the cafeteria, beating up several Asian students. John Bowne High School in Queens is at number 2. This school has been in the media on a number of occasions. In 2017, they featured in the New York Daily News, which mentioned there had been multiple incidents reported, including a student being stabbed, a police officer assaulted, and multiple teens arrested with weapons and drugs. And at number 1, we have Cutler Bay Middle School in Florida. This school has 1,100 students and is often featured in the media, particularly for the number of fights, as many as 188 reported in a single school year. There have also been multiple incidents of battery, theft, and drug-related issues. It is the school with the most fighting reports in the state. So, that's our list of the 10 most dangerous schools in America. Do you know of other dangerous schools that should have been mentioned? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called 10 Most Dangerous Cities in the World that you should probably not visit. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time! Most of us know something about the Italian Mafia. Its exploits have been made into huge blockbuster movies such as the Godfather trilogy and Goodfellas, while the TV show The Sopranos is unquestionably one of the best things ever to light up people's living rooms. What makes the Italian Mafia so compelling to follow is that besides the brutality of the organization at times, there is humor in the way members talk to each other. Their often strange nicknames are never anything but hilarious, and you can't help but be fascinated by the rulebook each member has to adhere to. Despite the Mafia's many codes of conduct, time and again, no quarter was given to rival members and outsiders. Today, we'll look at some of the worst crimes the Mafia has ever committed. In this episode of the Infographic Show, the most horrifying crimes, Italian Mafia. As you'll likely know, the Italian Mafia originated in Sicily in southern Italy and was known as the Cosa Nostra. The word mafia, which is mafioso in Italian, according to the Italian dictionary, means someone who can be a scoundrel, brave but perhaps unruly, a tough guy but honorable, sometimes a brute, and always a bit of a swaggerer. That seems about right, given what we have seen on TV and film. If we look at the late 19th and early 20th century in Sicily, some writers depict these gangs as thieves working in rural areas, but given so much inequality and official corruption, some of the writers defend their actions. In the 1940s and 50s, gangs grew in size, making headway in the construction industry but also getting involved in extortion and protection. But today we're going to focus on the American Mafia. The earliest reports of Italian immigrants belonging to organized crime causing havoc in the United States dates back to the late 19th century. Around that time, the New Orleans Times wrote that parts of the city had become infested with well-known and notorious Sicilian murderers, counterfeiters, and burglars who in the last month have formed a sort of general co-partnership or stock company for the plunder and disturbance of the city. These gangs would soon spring up in parts of New York and Chicago and would later pervade much of the United States. To cut a long story short, this episode is more about the mafia's crimes than its long history. Many Italian gangsters flooded into the USA in the 1920s as fascist leader Benito Mussolini wasn't very keen on them, to say the least. This was around the time Prohibition, or the alcohol ban, was the law in the US, an era rife for crime, and the mafia, led by certain families in different parts of the country, expanded quickly and became known as an enterprise full of cunning, calculating, and cruel connivers. Now to the crimes. Not all terrible crimes were committed by the mafia, but by people working for the mafia. Many of the associates, tough guys, hitmen, were not Italian by birth and so were hired for jobs rather than work as part of a family. One such man who you may have seen on YouTube or on TV, or even depicted in a movie, is the hitman Richard Kuklinski. Also known as the Iceman, it's thought he carried out around 100 executions or more before he was imprisoned in 1988. He appears on this list not only because of how prolific he was, but if you've seen him talk about killing, you'll notice how cold he seemed about the act. They called him the Iceman because he would often freeze the bodies of his victims for a long time and then later dump them. Doing it this way would make it impossible for the police to know when the murder had taken place. Now we'll look at two characters who were known in the mafia as brutal killers and have since been depicted that way in movies. Both characters were played by Joe Pesci. The first was the character Nicky Santaro in the film Casino, who was actually based on mafia member Tony Spilotro. Yes, Spilotro was brutally murdered by his own people, as is depicted in the movie, but it's also said that he was very much a keen proponent of torturing people he thought were hurting his business. He may have ordered killings and killed himself on many occasions, but it's the torture that stands out. Like in the film, he once put a man's head in a vice and turned the handle until the man's eye popped out. It's also said he tortured another man for 2 days, slicing him all over with knives and razors, burning him with a blowtorch, and then fastening him upside down to a meat hook until the poor fella died. Now, you might not feel sorry for anyone with such a depraved disposition, but you can hardly feel good about the way Spilotro went. No, it wasn't death by baseball bat near the Las Vegas desert as depicted in the movie. What really happened is that in 1986, Spilotro had irked mafia bosses enough and they ordered he be taken care of. That means killed. He and his brother were asked to meet in a basement where they would essentially be promoted, or so they were told. What happened is that they were set upon by around 20 men and literally beaten to death with bats, fists, and objects until their bodies became unrecognizable. If you so choose, the photos of the aftermath are online, but we don't advise you look. The next character is Tommy from the film Goodfellas, who was based on Tommy became and essentially be promoted or baseball bat near the Las Vegas desert as the way Spilotro. You might not feel sorry for anyone with such a depraved disposition, but you can hardly feel good about the way Spilotro went. No, it wasn't death by baseball bat near the Las Vegas desert as depicted in the movie. What really happened is that in 1986, Spilotro had irked mafia bosses enough and they ordered he be taken care of. That means killed. He and his brother were asked to meet in a basement where they would essentially be promoted, or so they were told. What happened is that they were set upon by around 20 men and literally beaten to death with bats, fists, and objects until their bodies became unrecognizable. If you so choose, the photos of the aftermath are online, but we don't advise you look. The next character is Tommy from the film Goodfellas, who was based on Thomas Anthony DeSimone, aka Two Gun Tommy. Associate Henry Hill, who the film is based on, described him as a pure psychopath and a homicidal maniac. If you've seen the film, all those grisly murders are based on Hill's testimony. Yes, that includes the horrible slaying of a young waiter for hardly any reason at all. According to Hill, he enjoyed killing and had been doing it since he was a teenager. Now we turn to the notorious gangster Al Capone. Yet again, the brutal murder we are about to talk about has been depicted in a movie. This time the movie is The Untouchables. If you haven't seen it, there is a scene in which Capone has invited a bunch of gangsters to a kind of large dinner party. Reminiscent of a Joker scene from Batman, Capone pulls out a baseball bat and beats one of the attendants to death with it. In real life, there were 2 men and they had been henchmen in the gang, but Capone had got wind that they wanted to overthrow him. He shot them too, but it's thought the men were as good as dead. Sticking with Al Capone, we should mention something about the utterly cold-blooded St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Yep, you can see this depicted in many films too. The story, in short, consists of Capone's gang fighting for power in Chicago in the 1920s with an Irish gang called the North Side Gang. This gang was run by mobster George Bugs Moran. As the story goes, 7 members of the North Side Gang had been lined up against the wall by men that looked like police, only they were thought to be Capone's accomplices. They fired many rounds of ammunition into these men, tearing them to pieces. Moran was not one of them, and some stories say he was just fortunate enough to be late to the meeting that day. One man actually survived the next 3 hours with 14 bullet wounds but later died. Capone had been careful, knowing that he would be blamed. At the time of the shootings, he was in Florida and making sure he was being seen by many people. No one was ever arrested for this mass execution, one of the bloodiest events in American mob history. Okay, so the next crime may not be as brutal, but it shows just how bitter and twisted the mafia could be. This was the murder of Angelo the Gentle Don Bruno, who was shot in the back of the head in his car. Bruno had made a killing in the methamphetamine trade in Philadelphia, but some people thought he was keeping too much moolah for himself. You might guess from his name that Bruno was known as a gentle type for a gangster who preferred to talk before getting down to violent deeds, but his enemies were not so even-tempered. It's thought mobster Antonio Caponegro wanted to knock Bruno off the boss spot and take over the family, so he ordered the hit. This didn't go down well with the Commission, a kind of round table of mafia bosses, and not long after, Caponegro was killed by enforcer Joe Mad Dog Sullivan. What's especially brutal was the message the bosses wanted to send. When the cops found the body, $20 bills had been stuffed into Caponegro's mouth and anus. This was to show that he had been a very greedy man in taking out the good-natured boss. He had been shot and stabbed numerous times. The worst thing is, this kind of execution wasn't all that uncommon. If you were lucky, you got whacked quickly with a bullet in the head, but if someone wanted you to suffer, you would die slowly. In fact, there were so many murders, the media called the enforcers that worked for the mafia all over America Murder Inc. This was a gang of ruthless killers that would work for bosses all over the states in the 30s and 40s, and it's thought they made good on as many as 1,000 contracts. Each murder apparently would cost a boss anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. They used guns, bats, and even ice picks. If they were ever caught, the big bosses would make sure they got the best lawyers. Murder Inc. was started by Jewish-American gangster Louis Lepke Buchalter, and he has since gone down in history as the only mob boss in the US to get the death penalty. If there is one thing you learn from watching gang shows or reading mob-related books, it's that violence just begets violence, and karma seems to strike anyone involved in the misery. There aren't many happy endings in the history of the mob. So, what other things would you like to know about the mafia or other notorious gangs in the world, past or present? Let us know in the comments.
Get us back in these chairs to do this again.
It's not Elise that's doing it. I figured out who the true devil's daughter is.
I was invited.
But who invited you?
Yeah, Elise did.
We're gonna get to the bottom of who invited Yami. Well, it must be another year. Because
a capital deduction, James. And I have brought a Sherlockian gift for each of you. To Yami, my sense of intuition.
Oh, so it's not actually something.
To James, Sherlock's magnifying glass.
Whoa. Oh, that sucks.
I
didn't get anything.
And to Bruce, Watson's rape whistle.
Is that a whistle he used when he rapes or when he's gonna get raped?
Yami, which case would you rather do this year?
The one with the bomb.
Because the other one will do next year.
How much is left in the other one?
No, don't finish that one.
How will we know what happens in the one with the bomb if we don't know what happens?
Watson's either he's here or he's in danger or he's about to. Where's the audio?
Oh, that's not good. Sherlock off to a great start.
Case closed.
That was a lot of fun, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for flying from Miami, Yami.
All right. See you next year.
Well, it must be another year.
To Yami, my sense of intuition. Sherlock's magnifying glass. Where's the audio?
Sherlock off to a great start.
Case closed.
Put the fucking magnifying glass down. This is
you gave me this.
Fucking game.
You gave me this, Sherlock.
I declare this case a failure.
Is someone being raped? Who's the constable?
Intuition.
You gave me nothing.
Wait, Oscar Wilde?
Oh, Oscar.
Orson.
It's gotta be.
Orson Wilde. It's like when you go to see Gallagher perform, and it turns out it's the other Gallagher. Oh, I hate Oasis.
Oh my god, too much blush.
She's. I think she's dead right now.
I was gonna say that's not blush. That's some sort of old English disease.
Ah! Whoa, who the fuck is that?
That's Bill the Butcher.
Is that Mad Hatter?
Is that a custom character created?
If there's something you think you want to see, you must happily follow me. His scarf sucks.
Right.
That's an ascot.
Oh, sorry.
Fashion trends.
I'm gonna say yeah, follows fashion trends.
Or what's the other option?
Scarf.
Scarf.
He loves America.
He is. It is Bill the Butcher. Sir, I'm gonna have to pat you down. Go right ahead. You know how you see like old knights costumes and they wear like big things? They wear big cod pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Check his balls.
Oh, a little wacky tobacco.
That's Holmes' preferred brand.
Why does it matter that it's your preferred brand?
Because he's studying to do the character of Holmes.
Oh, is he? Orson Welles playing Holmes?
Oh, is that the point of this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Imprecise. We got it
Oh,
wrong.
you fucked it up.
I want to make a mystery movie. Never mind.
Getting a hive.
What?
What are you talking about?
From the moment we just started, we've been recording for 10 minutes.
Right now, or?
Is it the stress of this? Oh no!
I'm just going through his shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're basically just being a thief right now. What's going on?
Father?
I'm just.
Get out!
What? Oh, okay. He's figuring it out.
Not quite. We have a visitor. However,
What? Is that how he thinks?
Yeah.
I guess that's
in
so
like
he
one
heard all
year.
those things.
And it takes him about 4 times longer than the average man to determine that someone's coming.
Dint. What the hell's a dint?
Did she get decked in the
Should
face?
I look up what dint
What
means?
does dint mean?
I think it means to get clocked in the face.
I think you're right. Let's do dint.
I don't know if I.
He's
trust
just straight
that.
up checking her out at this point. He's like going behind her. Oh, look at that.
Oh, embarrassing.
That was no surprise.
Sherlock, you're garbage.
We couldn't change all the answers.
You're a man. And trust the color, right?
Don't worry, Elise.
Thank you,
You got it
Yami.
next time.
How he's so supportive.
All right, so this woman came in for her case to get solved. Orson Wilde, for some reason, appeared because he's going to play Sherlock, which only Yami knows. But
I didn't even know that.
we're supposed to-
Someone here knows what's going on, and I intend to find out who.
But this time I was quite
Look
settled.
at her teeth. She is English.
Sometimes I can't watch television shows. All the people in it look dirty.
It's because you can smell them.
You can smell them.
I can smell Sherlock and Orson Wilde.
See Orson Wilde? He's trying to like mimic Sherlock to pick up his mannerisms. I bet.
Whoa, she got a clue.
I bet later in this mystery, he's gonna go undercover as our double.
Oh, you're absolutely
Then
right.
that makes this more interesting.
Mr. Wilde. Holmes. Tell her.
This guy sucks.
Mary's gonna give her an inheritance. She has granted her family the use of the money as long as she lives with them.
What are dints? You're failing.
I can't.
This is
None of
his
these.
brain.
None of these go
No.
together. Public notice of disappearance. Gentlemen. My name is Mr.
Hosmer
Hosmer
Angel
Dulles,
has mysteriously vanished.
That's her father,
5
right?
5 feet 7 inches in
build.
height,
He's-
strong build, sallow complexion.
Here's the love letter. My dear love, please don't worry your sweet head. Do you believe that I would say anything to your family who understand nothing of love? We had a wonderful time together, didn't we, while your father was in France?
Oh,
Such
cool.
a short time, but it was enough for me to know that you are my life. Yada, yada, yada.
What does that say? Oh, there it went. At least she skipped through it.
Oh yeah, you can compare the differences.
It's the
He
same
loves
one.
the ampersand.
Well, it's the typographical defects. No, highlight the ampersand.
Highlight the
The
ampersand.
ampersand, Elise, on the left.
No, I did
Yeah,
just
look,
do that.
they found
One
it.
of the thing.
I know, I did that
Case
already.
closed. We found him.
Find red. There
Oh,
it
look at
is. See,
that.
Elise, nice
Yeah.
job. K, look for K. There's a K in there somewhere. Find a
We have
K.
to find a K.
It was enough for me to know my life. I want to spend every. No!
I don't even know where you are.
Up,
Top or middle left.
Second paragraph.
Middle left.
Which
Middle
le-
left.
which-
Middle,
this one?
left,
Middle left.
left.
Which
left,
letter? Which letter?
It's
No,
K.
K.
You are my
K,
life.
K.
Know that you were my life.
Okay.
Right there, and then left.
Oh,
For
Elise.
the love of God.
To your left,
There
right
you
there.
go. Yes.
Elise's eyes are
It's like becoming like a rash.
Yeah, I know.
too wide,
What's
like a
happening?
cat.
Are you okay?
It's the stress of the mystery. agree.
All right, we gotta find more stuff.
Do we have to find more?
Yeah, we have to find
Is
more
the game
things.
even counting all this?
I don't know. I'm taking Mary.
Mary.
I got it.
You got this.
Thanks,
You're doing a
Yami.
great job.
Look how supportive Yami is. You
She's
guys
doing
can
a
take
great
some
job.
notes.
We're trying to help.
You should be supportive of us. We're the ones who solved it. Nice.
Well, we don't know if that's right.
We
Remember, You
don't.
can still make wrong
Doesn't
deductions.
matter
okay?
if it's right.
All right.
We just finished the case. We cashed the check.
We fuck chicks.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Toby. Your soap bath couldn't have been as bad as that.
Wait, there's more deductions, like James said.
B for deductions. Like these.
Yeah, these are goddamn.
She doesn't like him. She doesn't like doing it.
You and Adam are very much the same. You just ignore when the game's just trying to tell you.
Excuse me, thank
Bless
you.
you.
Nice job, Elise. You got them all.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know if any of them
now.
are right.
Hold
Got
on.
all
Mary.
the DNA sequences.
I think it's strange behavior. I don't think it's shyness.
I definitely think it's pretty. Yeah.
He's up to no good.
There we go.
Okay,
A double
there we go.
deduction.
Mary's stepfather's lied.
He didn't take his business trip as he found out Mary was disobeying him.
Mary's stepfather took his business trip.
I
which
think
gave
it's
me
the other one.
What's
this
the other
one?
That it was. Yeah,
She took
for
the
sure-
opportunity?
Yeah, she was just like.
Yeah.
I agree.
Daddy's
I
away.
agree with you. Oh!
It's usually the woman's
crook.
fault.
In
What do you
these stories.
think?
This is a quick one.
This is a quick
Did you
one.
win?
I think there's more to this case
Was
than
that
I
it?
realized.
What else can I tell you?
Tell me the truth.
You're a liar!
He needs to solve it. This is a quick case.
Mary Sutherland's stepfather wished for her to stay loyally bound to Mr. Hosmer, so keep Mary and her money close to home. The law cannot touch Mr. Windabank, but at least Mary should know the truth.
New character.
I think you tell the truth.
Just remember, in the world of Sherlock Holmes, there are no wrong answers.
Yeah, there are. There are plenty of wrong answers.
Huh?
Hopefully, we didn't just lose the game.
Oh, Mr.
You made
Holmes.
yourself hideous.
Look, you right, Dint. He doesn't want to be with you.
Thank you for all you have done, Mr.
The truth will set you free.
Case closed.
There you go.
Are you okay? Did someone touch you?
Where's the bomb?
No, it's coming.
Yeah,
That was just a
I knew
first
this
one.
That's just a precursor.
Oh, I was like, dude, I
That's the
chose this
pre-com.
because I
That's
thought there was a
Sucking on some
To the actual
ganja.
What is going
come.
on?
Did he say that without moving his mouth?
Yes.
What is going on?
He's a ventriloquist.
Don't mess
Oh,
with
what
Toby.
happened to Toby's? You can see his dick. That's a weird thing to render.
I'm on the case. Don't worry.
Oh, I don't know if that's smart.
All right, get this ready.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was
Oh, Sherlock's dead!
That's okay. It was Orson that died.
Careful, Sherlock.
All right.
Should put my face closer.
Yeah, why?
perfect.
All right, so there's wires inside.
Bend
aside.
Yeah, just accept
Bend
defeat.
Oh,
Bend over.
nice.
Fancy ticking homemade gift from the secret admirer.
Even faced with danger, Sherlock has a good little, you know.
You got 2 minutes.
Blue.
Click
it.
Hold on,
Is
we don't
there
know what
any-
it does.
is there-
There's only 2 wires, so it's obviously red.
Well, there's like 4, isn't there?
There's a bunch of wires.
Yeah, there's.
They're all the same color, though. Blue or
Well, I think.
Yeah, but they're different
Yeah, I
blues
think
and
the
different
difference
reds.
is-
red.
This solenoid protects the bomb from being easily defused.
So we want to disconnect from that, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's about to explode though.
Yeah.
If it loses its power supply, see? Just throw it out your window, you idiot. Whew. She did it.
So then
Okay.
you get the blue one too, right?
Maybe.
Oh, shit.
That's it. You just solved it.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Now it's free from the case.
What happened? Just a small bomb. Mr. Holmes, are you all right?
Who is that?
I lost my bomb. Have you seen it?
That's my assistant.
Oh, is that Poopy
Oh, is
Man?
he?
Is that Poopy Boy?
No,
Yes.
immediately start questioning him. He's the killer.
I wonder if it was Orson.
Oh.
I think Orson put on a disguise.
Orson wants to kill him so that he could wear Sherlock's skin.
Orson Wilde's Moriarty. Twist. Who cares? What is this? Wait a minute, hold on.
Bitches blast,
Is this the
blast.
jacket?
This is the jacket
kid
left
found?
behind
Buckets?
by the attacker.
Buckets found this jacket?
Wow.
His name's not Buckets.
What is it? Oh, Wiggins. Buckets. We're going to call him
Buckets.
Buckets.
Wait, is he burning the evidence?
He was trying to be like Holmes.
Did he?
and find
Oh my god, no,
clues.
he was burning the evidence.
It's gotta be
100%.
him, right?
Yeah, Orson Wilde's going to jail.
He destroyed my analysis table. He burnt the evidence. See, this is an American poem. Rally Mohawks, bring out your axes, and tell King George we'll pay no taxes on his foreign tea.
Boom.
His threats are
Done.
vain and vain to think, to force our girls and wives to drink his vile lahia,
Then rally, boys!
and hasten on to meet our chiefs at the
The
green.
Green Dragon!
Oh, is that right?
Orson deliberately destroyed the analysis table.
100%.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
What? You think Orson Wilde's at fault?
Yeah.
But he's just a playwright. Yes.
History. The Green Dragon Tavern.
One of these now located in London near the harbor in the district of Winchester.
How convenient.
Yes.
Oh, I love this part.
Yeah.
Put on
Probably
the dumbest-
exactly like
I should dress
Orson.
like him,
Put on the
right?
dumbest
Dressed
thing.
like an American.
Oh, the purple- purple suit.
Yeah, purple. He looks like the Joker.
This?
Yeah, that's what an American would wear. And then put on your best Southern accent. Howdy, partners.
Nice.
My name is Orson Wilde.
It is my birthday.
Oh, Jesus
Oh
Christ.
no, Sherlock forgot her
Oh
birthday.
no. He can solve every mystery except for the one right in front of his fucking face.
Kate, come back.
He doesn't give a fuck.
No, he
No! Wait!
Alice, I have an odd sense about her. It's as if she's playing with Kate's feelings.
Alice and Orson Wilde are in it together.
And Alice is Moriarty's wife.
And now for a simple escape. And he
QT,
trips,
QT.
falls over the balcony. It rips his pants down to his ankles, and he hangs there with his dick and ass out.
All the press sees it.
Help! I'm Sherlock Holmes! Help! Aha!
Aha!
Oh my god.
I've
Great
done it.
job, Sherlock.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, you did a great job.
I've locked my secrets in here. All someone has to do is turn it a couple times to figure out you through pure logic alone how to get in.
Alice, if you read
Oh,
this
no,
letter, it
someone's
means that I am dead.
Who's dead?
essentially.
Sherlock?
Your aunt. Your aunt.
Who's dead?
Alice's aunt.
Who's Alice's aunt?
I'm sorry.
Who's Alice?
Given no name. That is a good question. Who is Alice?
I think Alice is the little girl.
The little girl is Moriarty. I'm calling it.
These are Alice's notes inspectigating Sherlock.
Who's Alice?
Inspectigating.
Yeah.
Kate is his daughter.
Kate. Okay. Who's Alice and Anna?
So who the hell's Alice and Anna? Why are
Alice
they-
is the woman that lives near him that's spying
Just grab
on
the
him.
key.
It's filled with white sticky stuff. Better taste it.
Oh, birthday gift for Kate, but she's not here to give it
Who's
to her.
Kate?
Steal
the
the
daughter.
gift.
Play something for us, Sherlock.
Take it away, Sherlock.
Better keep a low profile.
Dun, 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 dun.
She
Please don't
knew.
make me fake it.
Key.
Oh, thank God.
Wait, should you be doing that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's allowed to go go wherever he wants. He owns this place.
He comes
Sure.
out. I unlocked from the other side.
Uh-oh. It's Moriarty.
All right.
What the fuck?
This shit got weird.
All right, well, he's figured it
Just
out.
walk quiet.
Fuck.
This shit.
It's Moriarty.
Comes out. I unlocked from the other side.
Uh-oh. It's Moriarty.
All right.
What the fuck?
This shit got weird.
All right, well, he's figured it
Just
out.
walk quiet. Just take 3 big steps back out of the room.
James, look at this bad boy.
Yeah, that's a wicker wheelchair.
Have we met Alice before?
Alice is the one that Kate wants to live with, who's our neighbor.
Have we seen her?
Do we know
I
if
think
she
we
looks
have,
like?
yeah.
We 100%
We probably
forgot
saw her like
everything.
we played this 2 years ago.
Isn't there characters? Isn't there a character page?
I have face blindness, so I don't remember.
We've
All right,
already
let's
moved
fight. Let's
past-
read this. That's Alice.
Oh, I
She's the
remember
devil.
her. Okay, so now we know why the game's called The Devil's Daughter. I love it.
What are you doing? What's wrong with you?
Karl Marx, Charles Darwin.
So she loves historical figures. She's been trying to talk to them all.
That's really
That's what's happening.
That's all that she's
That's
been
what's
doing.
going on. I solved it. Close the game.
Morning
down
gown,
is good.
festive.
What you should do is get out your
Bandit.
outfit. Classic.
And then get out your Chinese hat and go, hold on. My name is Sherlock Holmes.
I did not like that.
I'm looking for the green dragon. Maybe it's the door.
Holmes.
I did not like that.
I'm looking for the green dragon. Maybe it's the door.
Excuse me.
Oh, you guys, I'm gonna have to eavesdrop. I hate
All right,
this
you
one.
gotta
Oh, I
move
love
it
this
in.
one.
I hate
You
this.
got it. You're doing it.
You're doing it,
You're doing it perfectly
you're
fine.
doing it, Elise.
Look at this. You got it. You got it.
Elise.
Oh, no.
You're doing it. You're doing it, Elise. Oh, you're doing it.
At least his eyes are getting all across.
Elise, you want us to do one on one side of them?
Yami will. Yeah.
Yami can do the other one.
Which one's the hardest one for you?
You're doing it.
Elise is doing it on her
Did it
own.
by yourself.
Nice job. No one notices him right next to their table.
Listening with the giant
The ear
Dr.
cup.
Seuss thing.
Oh, Elise. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, come on, Elise. Hold her in there. Oh, nice.
2 hands. To do was.
Oh, the attack on Holmes failed. Did you hear that? That's him.
So it wasn't our act, unless the actor hired.
Of course he did.
This guy wants to scrap. Let's scrap.
I challenge anyone in the bar. Challenge me. Easy.
You got it, Elise. You got it.
Oh man,
You got it,
like, you
Elise?
dragged me
Oh,
away.
Now's the time we can punch him.
This guy just says out loud everything.
Everything that he's doing.
I'm turning right. I'm looking at the water.
Grab his hips. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Why don't you go forward, Holmes?
W.
I mean, bandit.
A. S.
Got
Yeah.
it. Nice job.
Snagged it.
Oh, it's a card.
Another good night.
The Green
Oh
Dragon.
no!
Oh, you gotta put it back.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, that
Easy.
was close.
Easy.
Wow.
Can you
Card?
finally go through that damn door?
So the guy now is like, okay, good.
Yeah, because he saw the card. Is it buckets?
That's hairlet.
Oh, it is hair lip.
Sherlock Holmes just comes in. Elbows him on the head.
I caught him from ear to ear.
Is that a little kid?
I was born this
He's,
way.
he's only like
way
5'5", yeah. What did he say? I didn't pick up
I
on
should
that.
follow him.
But you gotta get past this other guy, so you're gonna have to cut your lip.
Am I gonna have to gamble?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's private. Gamble or get out.
Oh god, you're gonna have to win at a
You're
gambling
gonna have to
game.
gamble. All right, at least you want to resync. We have to play GTA too.
Sorry.
She wants
You
to
only
keep
get
playing.
one a year.
So anticlimactic.
Stay tuned next time for gambling.
Fold,
with
fold.
Sherlock Holmes. Oh no. Boy, that
He's
was
got a
good.
beat on you.
Boy, that was
no,
a
he's
good
got-
throw.
Oh no.
That was a really
That's
good
okay,
throw.
you can beat that.
That's all right.
Look at that.
swing
He's
his-
gonna stay in
Oh,
bounds.
so close. That was awesome. That was awesome, Luis.
Thanks, Yami.
Great job.
Was it?
This is the first time I've played this. I'm fucked out of my mind on opiates.
Oh.
We don't
There's only one more hero that I need to play to get Hanzo as my least played hero in the game.
Fish, fish,
What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Okay, okay.
Alright, thank you.
Did you just walk away after that?
Oh, it's a race. It's a race. And Fish takes the lead.
And Ergo takes the lead.
And Fish takes the lead.
And Ergo takes the lead.
All right, have fun in there.
Oh shit.
Jenna? How are you dying?
The race was. I don't know.
The race was a ruse.
You got me killed. You wouldn't understand.
Oh, you wanna die? You wanna die? Guys, I'm starting to have a crush on Sombra.
No, why?
She's perfect.
You're gonna realize so long after she's been released that she's literally Overwatch's spy and that you love her?
She goes invisible.
I have to admit, that's pretty darn late to the party.
According to the Overwatch wiki, Sombra is 30.
What? Oh, she's 10 years older than me? Oh, MILF.
Yeah.
Salty?
Yeah, Tracer's like 25. So
Oh.
yeah.
5 years older than me? MILF.
He's typing.
Oh. I thought it was me.
You shoved it in.
I'm
You
just
just
gonna kill him.
shoved it in.
No!
I dated him.
I didn't
Get him.
I'm following this soldier there.
Me too, I am too. Let's go. He can't run, he can't run. We got him.
Realize what the McCree's name is.
It's sad because where did her mercy go? There she
Oh my
is.
god, it's for sure.
No! Snowball! My friend.
Yo, I got an easy achievement.
Oh, you got the 6-man.
I got the power outage.
Hello there.
Okay.
Need this later. I'm out of here.
What's that coming from?
Right side.
Like, I died to a
Shooters.
Hanzo.
No, I got hacked. No.
Hanzo on the left.
No. Oh, that's.
What happened? What's going on? Are you okay? We can do it if we just go to point right now.
Dude, I'm on it.
Oh shoot. Alright, I'm with you, Fish. See his Hanzo?
Yep.
Whitey, go and hide!
Okay.
No.
Oh, no way! I was edge blocking him, and he just denied me. It's such bullshit. I hate that hero so much.
Hey there. It's hand. Nope.
Oh, no way.
Did he just instantly die again?
No, I hacked him as soon as he did.
hacked him.
It's hack noob.
Is it that bad?
It's really bad.
I'm sorry. Hey Hanzo, use your arrows. Use your
Hey,
arrows.
Hanzo, use your arrows.
Oh god! Oh, he's back.
He's back. Kill him. I just threw my
I'm on him.
teleporter at him.
Go get him!
Yes. Now we shall mount his corpse.
He's eating.
Oh my god, I'm gonna die. When he predicts the future.
That's so Raven.
What? What's that supposed to mean?
What?
Bumbler, why do you just
God
never
damn
get any
it.
references? You're such an old ass man.
That's so Raven? What does that mean?
Are you serious?
Are you?
I'm eating more chocolate, guys.
Oh damn.
I'm getting more chocolate. I'm gonna eat away my
Stop
problems.
eating. You're gonna shit like so
I'm gonna
bad.
shit like Brown. It's gonna be so weird.
Not what I.
Wrong way.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get the achievement. Hack the planet. Shot at me.
Was he being damage boosted?
No.
It's okay, she's dead.
Oh, whoa. This Genji keeps trying to ult and can't.
Get the fuck out of here, Genji.
Kill him. Don't let him.
He never get an ultimate out.
He finally got it. Oh shit. Cypher, don't do anything stupid. Oh wow, nice fucking shot
Yes.
from 2 feet away.
Oh.
Propaganda is useless.
Oh, get inside them! Oh shit!
Ha!
Ha! I'm so sorry, Jenna. I missed my healing on you. It was.
Hog's almost dead.
I'm with you.
What is this Sombra doing?
I know.
Holy. You just. Oh my lord. I realized just now it was their Mercy doing the shit talking.
Go, Lamo.
I'm dead, guys. Goodbye.
No! I'm
the
coming!
Savannah Bros!
No, I got it! Oh my god!
I got him! Main. Or, he went down. Mercy dead.
Almost got the Genji.
You can't do up. Can't get up.
No, don't let him get away. Shoot him. There's no such thing as a friendly in Overwatch.
I personally like living a life free from the responsibility that comes with medals.
Holy shit.
Piece
of cake. It's been a while since I've heard that one.
There's no friendlies in this game. Propaganda's useless. Oh, let's get lit. Nice try, uh-oh. Shit, no!
Like your overall, like.
Oh, I see.
Let us begin. Oh.
I'm gonna die immediately.
That was so funny. I just see you charging and then crash into the wall. It looked like you charged too fast and just banged your head on the wall and died.
I did.
Oh god damn it!
Move the payload. Move the payload. Move the payload.
Oh, we need to move the fucking payload.
Ooh, Winston, what's up, bitch? Ooh, Mercy, what's up, bitch?
That's so aggressive.
Ooh, Hanzo, what's up, bitch? Oh, fuck.
You fucking killed me. Bitch is such a funny word. The dragon becomes me.
Ooh, you say the dragon becomes you, but why would the dragon become a bitch?
I can't do it! I can't do it!
Just push the card. We win the game already.
What?
Nice try, motherfucker!
Oh my god.
You just landed up there and she happened to do that, didn't you? Tell the truth.
No, I predicted it.
Dude, guys, we're spawning in Snacks Ramen.
In Snacks Ramen?
No, it's in reference to
I
Snacks
love ramen. Quite the healthy meal when you are too lazy to
I'm
make
gonna
real
fucking
pasta.
slap you.
Turret.
Where's that turret? Oh my god, it's on top of the siege cannon.
Nothing new here.
Sci-fi.
Look, I thought I
Did
could
you lose that one-on-one with the turret?
I was thinking about the lore, dude. I was shooting that and then I'm like, man, that's a siege cannon from StarCraft. He's on top of the fucking cannon again.
Rumbler, get it.
Good job, Jenna.
I'm glad that you could do it, Cypher. I could not, Jenna.
Thank you.
Okay, look. Like, half of that was to scatter arrow. You're playing Sombra, alright? Like, get off. Oh my god, that is one thing I really hate about YouTubers is that when they do the fucking make sure you leave a comment to enter my gift card giveaway. Just so they can get like a lot of comments so the algorithm favors them.
Dude, I'm gonna do that in my next video now.
Dude, I'm unsubscribing.
Dude, I'm blocking you.
Dude, we're no longer friends.
No, Blue.
This
No.
is the breakup. No,
I'm glad that Jenna could once again do what Cypher could not.
Ooh, big mistake of you to show your face around me, Widowmaker!
Ice wall coming up.
Did you get walled off?
Yeah.
We got it, we got it, we got it, we got it! Ooh, I'm gonna fucking nut, dude.
Jesus.
Hey, but you can pay me $5 at twitch.tv/probably an ASTF.
He doesn't have $5.
Cypher, hit your shots. Cypher, jump away! Oh. Oh my god!
You know what the cool thing about that is?
The kill feed, boy!
I saw it!
Awesome.
Oh, nice, dude. Winston's an idiot.
I didn't. It's weird. It killed him.
Turret Winston. The Winston died again.
My turret killed the Doomfist when it killed
They keep falling in.
Their Junkrat is all.
This is perfect.
What are you doing?
They're conceding.
They're conceding. Oh, please, okay. Oh my god. I'm gonna keep staying here and guarding this area. Oh, he's
oh god,
so
we're
lit.
dead.
Oh my god, again! Yes!
Oh god, I remember when that meme when Aston went through that phase, the A-Poppy phase.
Hey, no, that was a
little.
Ooh.
It's not over.
Fish, did you just jump down there to try and kill the
Yeah, me too. What? I can actually teleport out. What's wrong with you guys?
There are so many preconceived notions each of us hold about general everyday things that aren't always as straightforward in reality. I, for one, always thought that pavement bricks were laid by hand, and I always assumed that Toad seriously had a deformed mushroom-style tumour on his head. I was wrong, and you're going to realise there are so many things in the world that aren't exactly what they seem.
Amazing!
Number 10. Special Effects Wind. Most of us are aware of the use of green screens in professional video production. It's something we've learned to live with. So how do you think they make a model's hair flutter in the wind as they take a shot for a commercial? Or how do you think they make Superman's cape flutter to give the impression that he's soaring through the sky? They use a fan, surely. Wrong. They use ninjas in green suits. I'm not even lying. Take a look and see for yourself at this clip of the filming for Superman Returns. Here you can see green screen flutterers, people dressed in chroma key GIMP suits. Commercials and movie studios sometimes employ them to create windswept effects. They're easily removed in post-production. It looks super weird though. Just look at the way those green ninjas are puppeteering that cape. Elsewhere, a picture from an unidentified shampoo commercial posted by Lighthouse Studios in Dubai shows a green man waving his arms and hand around a model in the shot, giving her windswept hair. Although it may take a lot of work, I'm pretty impressed by the ingenuity of this one. Number 9. Pineapples do not grow on trees. Think about it. How do you think pineapples are actually grown? They're definitely not cultivated under the sea, as some children's programs might lead you to believe. But given their size, a lot of people are mistaken for believing that they're somehow grown on trees. Some even think that the pineapples found in local stores are an export from Hawaii. This is no longer true, because most of them now come from South America or Asia. If you asked any of the farmers from these regions to show you a pineapple tree, they'll probably laugh out loud. They know that it grows on a bush. The fruit has no seed, and the next generation pineapple bush grows on top of the fruit. It's true that a lot of us have grown out of touch with where most of our food actually comes from. Number 8. Cereal marketing. There are loads of cereal brands out there, and it's usually difficult to decide which one to go for. What makes the cereal boxes stand out though is the art covering it, which is why cereal brands employ some pretty neat tricks when it comes to designing that bowl of milk and cereal. Oh wait, did I say milk? I meant glue. That's right. milk is rarely used as the white stuff in the bowl when these pictures are created. Milk is too watery, meaning the cereal will just sink to the bottom and soak up the milk. Not particularly helpful during a photo shoot when you're trying to make the most appetizing photo possible. To avoid this, they use regular white PVA glue you'd use in art classes at school. Number 7. Green grass. It's the sign of a prosperous neighborhood and a well-kept stadium. Grass that's so green you can take a picnic on it and feel like you're truly at one with nature. But what happens when you're too lazy to water the grass and it dies on you? Or what if there's a drought for the 4th year in a row? Well, that's what happened back in 2015 when Californians took matters into their own hands, sick of the patchy yellow pastures many gardens had turned into. They just used regular old paint. Just look at these guys. Companies even capitalized on this by offering environmentally friendly turf dyes. Apparently, this has also been a secret weapon by landscapers at athletic fields and golf courses over the years. When you think about it, this one is actually rather funny. Like, the only way for people to get natural looking grass is to use an extremely unnatural thing to paint over the problem. Then again, I suppose it's the only attractive solution when there's a drought. The grass on the other side of the fence isn't greener after all. Number 6. Towel stacks are a lie. Retail stores rely on sales. Sales rely heavily on great advertising of the product you're selling. That's why at certain department stores selling towels, they often don't bother employing someone to fold the towels nicely into a stack. What they do instead is sort of loop one towel through a block of foam to make it look like multiple stacks of folded towels. It's actually pretty smart. I guess the phrase work smart not hard is fitting, though it does make me wonder, couldn't the space be better utilised? Number 5. Commander Crunch. That was not a mistake. Our favourite captain, Captain Crunch, who adorns cereal boxes all over the world, isn't really what his namesake suggests. You see, it's all in the details here. The sleeves on his uniform consist of 3 stripes. The military nerds of you already know where I'm going with this one. 3 stripes signify a commander, not a captain. If Commander Crunch was really a captain, he'd have 4, not 3 stripes. Captain Crunch is an imposter. Number 4. Toad. He's the longtime protector of the Mushroom Kingdom and my personal favourite character on Mario Kart. He may be a lightweight, but he has great acceleration and drifting. In short, I freaking love this guy. Anyways, like a lot of people, I'd always assumed that he was just some sort of brainiac sporting a mushroomed polka dot head. It appears my life has been a lie. Here you can see a screenshot of the cartoon series The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. In this series, Toad is seen removing his cap on occasion, revealing 3 strands of hair that Homer Simpson himself would be envious of. Why on earth he decides to wear such a large hat is anyone's guess. Maybe it makes him feel taller. Well, one thing's for sure, at least he doesn't have to go out and buy a pillow. Number 3. Takeaway pizza. Sometimes I like to watch cooking shows. I don't even cook much. I know it's an odd phenomenon, but it rings true for a lot of people, I think. Anyways, when they make pizza, it's a pretty simple process. They get the dough, put the sauce on, and spread it around with a spoodle. That's the actual utensil name, by the way, a sort of spoon and ladle combined. I was pretty surprised to find out that many takeaway pizzas have a more efficient process. Using a sort of spout you'd usually see in McDonald's, they just place the dough on a flat surface, it spins, and the sauce is pasted out as the spout moves, coating the entirety of the pizza without the need to spread it. Pretty ingenious. I like it. Number 2. Tiled patios and pavements. When I see a pavement made up of blocks, I immediately assume they're bricks laid down in formation. Surely they wouldn't go out of their way to do anything different. Apparently not. Look at these crooks fooling us with a brick stencil stamp they just apply straight onto setting concrete. Many companies actually do this because it's a lot easier than actually laying blocks by hand, and it gives the pavement a nice pattern instead of a blank concrete appearance. Still, bricks are preferred to asphalt or concrete for various reasons. Maintaining asphalt roads is more laborious because they break down easier than bricks, and it's harder to properly repair bumps and cracks. But who's going to lay all of those bricks? You may have thought that it's done by hand, but for large projects, this is not the case, and you'd be wrong. Large road printing machines make the job easier and convince road constructors that bricks are still the way forward. All they have to do is load bricks to the top of the machine, and out of the other end comes a perfect flat formation of bricks that can be laid straight onto the pavement. It's kind of mesmerizing to watch. Number 1. Road markings. How do you think road markings are printed onto the roads? Honestly, I always thought they were just painted, as do probably most of you. That is, until the fateful day I saw a paving contractor wielding a flamethrower at the ground. Whilst a lot of road markings are still created with paint, the truth is that since the 1950s, a lot of road markings haven't been painted at all. When they paint the markings, they usually have machines that spray or spread the paint, and they use stencils or marked out tape, which they apply paint to, but they don't always paint these markings. Instead, they can use rolls of what's known as thermoplastic road line markings. What paving contractors do is essentially roll out tape onto the ground and blowtorch over it, heating up the tarmac to a maximum temperature of between 180 and 200 degrees. This heat treats the tape, which liquefies and melts, binding it to the ground. Sometimes though, they have to use a primer to make it stick, depending on the age of the tarmac. This hot mark tape is purported as having a lot more beneficial properties than the standard procedure of painting. Firstly, and most obviously, it's a lot easier than marking out an area with tape and then essentially colouring it in with paint. It's also a lot more durable than paint, and it's efficient because you only use what you need and you don't need to mix your own paint. The practicality of it means that a lot of contractors use this tape specifically for repairs. They usually buy the rolls of tape in pre-formed sizes. It also means they can apply more intricate designs with pre-made stickers. For example, you can buy blue pedestrian markers like this one that are easily burned onto the ground. Imagine how difficult it would have been to actually paint that design on the ground. Thermoplastic line markers are apparently gaining in popularity, so now at least you know they exist. Which example did you think was the most surprising? Please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you know any other examples that should have made this video, make sure to leave a comment.
But it was in stage 1, stage 2 that Dallas has taken them, and Gladiators have taken it more recently. Now, can they keep this sort of rivalry going? Is Dallas going to be walking away with a victory here? Well, we'll see, you know. But it's going to be tough. And then if the Shield Bash actually victory have taken it more recently. Now, can they keep this sort of rivalry going? Is Dallas going to be walking away? Gladiators have taken it more recently. Now, can they keep this sort of rivalry going? Is Dallas going to be walking away with a victory here? Well, we'll see, you know. But it's going to be tough. And then if the Shield Bash actually connects with mistakes through it, you're going to have the damage from him.
Again! Oh, Jake! Yeah, you see it. What now? Tactical crouching. Of course, Jake probably had his control key was stuck. It happens, right?
Mercy, just go with me, dude.
Nah, it's my fault. When I push Zarya, she did a lot of damage, and that's what you got grabbing at the bench. You went out grabbing, and we're fucking well because I don't have to come up first. That's why.
We got London, we got Houston, and here to bring you the action, it's the Australian Motor Mouth and his Long Island Garden Gnome. It's Uber and Mr. X.
Oh, fucking! You better believe it, bro.
Sofer probably looking to go in now, and he sees the backlines far away from Brigitte.
That flashbang gets his. Oh, gee! Monster! Denies it! Perfectly silk thread. He thought he had it all. Instead, he gets robbed. Oh, this is so sick. Look at it. And see, Silk, because he sees the flashbang come out from McCree. He's like, it's go time, baby! I'm gonna hack you all to bits!
Shatter doesn't find much, though.
No, you're gonna get the follow-up from Surefour. That sets it up. Taimu and OG out of it. Oh, they are even gonna go for it. Architect, just letting them know. Just letting them know that Fleta is still definitely alive. Definitely, well, never mind. Sinatra finds him, and that's gonna be it. This is when Architect feels like it's time to go. Hashing them all to bits.
It's just beyond words what this man can do with Blade sometimes. That's ridiculous.
Boom, dude! I want you in my room. Let's go, dude.
Guys, is it Yanni or Laurel?
I think it's Yanni.
I think it's Laurel.
That's a funny dude.
Guys.
아니 돌진박으로 온다.
아 씨발 까비야.
But that was not so smart. Googling Google.
I want to flame him. What can I expect?
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
I think we might need early here.
Heroes never die.
They are taking the objective. Stop them.
Going back. I'm coming back.
Let's go, 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 go.
What the fuck?
Fuck you, Clone Man! Fuck you, Mano!
왼쪽 문 노심.
Oh my god, keep the Grinch! I need heal! You motherfucking stupid fucking Mercy. Fucking shot Mercy. You learn from Moth, you fucking leaf. Hey, thank you.
What do you
Are you from Denmark?
Yes, I'm from Denmark.
Why do people from Denmark sound the same?
Shut up!
Shut
Because
up,
they want to go, dude. They want to go, obviously. Let's go, dude.
Let's go, dude.
Let's go, dude.
Let's go, dude.
Let's go, dude. Oh shit. Oh shit, a perfect teabag. Oh my god, it's beautiful, dude.
Fucking Brigitte, dude. I'm gonna spawn or summon up.
I think I had packet loss or something.
I split myself.
Packet loss or something.
I can give you armor.
I'm a fucking helicopter, dude. I can't kill him. Fabian? So sad.
Down for the count.
Go. 4 down. Double. Get on point.
Woo! Without even knowing. Without even knowing this, okay? I can guess that this player's Tracer is under 40% win rate. You guys ready? You guys ready? Watch this.
I don't know. They will use
Under 40%. Under 40%. Shit. 62, dude. He's a fucking god. He's a god. That's the problem.
There's a point, and it doesn't quite. It isn't gonna kill him straight up in the back. But soon enough, and Spletta finally finds his opportunity. Goes in with the blade, finds the one kill. What's the ball again on Moss? Here we go. Soul Fantasy might be able to eke out the win here at the very end.
One good Genji play deserves another Flettus.
Fisher taking peeks. They definitely do not want to be too grouped up here. Dallas Wolves is back up. They're definitely keeping that in mind.
Turning defense.
Alrighty, there we go. Barrier out. Let's go. The party begins. OGE hanging in there. There's 3, but he misses it. Hits the wall and only picks up AKM. Pichu.
There's a lot of comps that are untried yet that I think are going to be interesting.
Main tank outdated. Prophet debated. Front row villain.
He's sleeping.
Holy shit, he's sleeping.
You might want to keep your distance.
Oh, I am on fire.